All right, we are live back here in San Diego. Once again, I am Bern McGovern, local real estate agent here in San Diego. We're trying to do these live events, every 2 weeks or so. So hopefully you guys can join us every time. I am joined by my esteemed colleague, Mike Reardon. Mike, thank you for being with me today.
Of course. Good to be here, Bern.
Yeah, we've haven't had you on in a couple weeks, so I thought it'd be good to have you back, get your take on the real estate market here in San Diego. As what that's kind of all the talk these days is the real estate market and interest rates, everyone's favorite topic. So I feel like it'd be a good idea to get these going a little more frequently, so you guys can bring your questions. We can give you our experiences, what's going on in the market here in San Diego, and kind of go from there. So
Since
what,
I've been
Mike?
out last, it's probably changed a ton, right? I think I was
Well,
on
I feel
maybe.
like it's changing on the daily lately, so that's why we're trying to get a little bit more of these videos out more frequently, so you guys can bring your questions, and I'll give you some of my experiences with home buyers and sellers here in San Diego. Okay, so Mike, what's your experience been as of late with home buyers?
Geez, I mean, it changed so fast. I would say over the last 2 months, it's dramatically changed. I've had some buyers that are now holding off and kind of wanting to wait and see what's going to happen with interest rates, if we're going to see some more price reductions, if there's going to be some opportunities here to pick up some deals. So I would say buyers are just being a little bit more patient from what I'm seeing. But I'm also having some clients that previously were priced out, reaching back out just to say, hey, they're still looking. Potentially if there's continues to be some price reductions, maybe they'll hop back in the market. So a little bit of both, but overall, I would say patience. A lot more patience. Buyers aren't, throwing out a bunch of offers on my end, at least right now. I'm not sure what are you seeing?
Yeah, it's kind of a little bit of both. So my out of town buyers are the issue that I'm having with out of town buyers are they're having a hard time selling their house, whether it's in San Francisco or Seattle, or we had somebody that was in Idaho that wanted to move to San Diego, but then they were having a hard time selling their house because the market has shifted a little bit in their markets too. So yes, you're probably gonna get a little bit better deal on a house in San Diego now, but you're also gonna maybe have to give up a little equity in your house that you were trying to sell. Because if you were trying to sell your house 3 months ago, say it was $1 million 3 months ago, now it could be 975. So you could have listed at 999, got multiple offers, and probably got over $1 million. But now you might have to settle for something a little bit less. So I think that's the hard part for sellers right now. Everyone and their mother was telling them, like, you're going to put the house on the market, you're going to get 15 offers, and it's going to sell very fast. But unfortunately, the reality is now, I mean, there are someone still getting multiple offers, especially the lower price points. I had a client ask me about a house in down south in Encanto, and it was listed at like 618 or something like that. It was a single family house that needed a little updating and kind of a flip property potential, and they had 16 offers on it. So
Yeah.
I'm not saying every house is getting price reductions and sitting on the market. It does depend. The ones that need a little bit of work, or that they're in that in between, especially we do a lot up in North County. So I don't deal with a lot of the older homes, like 1930s, 40s, and 50s homes. So, but up here in the north, a lot of these houses are built after 1970, probably. A lot of the ones
Yeah.
up here, and the ones that are kind of sitting, like for example, there's one on my street. I think I might have talked about this last time. I was on Santa Fe Canyon Place. The house across the street sold for 2.1, and like two and a half months ago, they put another house on the market about a month later, and they listed at 195. And in the normal market, it would have probably sold for at least 2 million. They reduced it to 1.8, and then they took it off the market. Now they're restaging it to try to sell it again. So
Interesting.
it's at 1.8, couldn't sell. Now they're going to bring it back on the market. I don't know at what price, but I would almost guarantee it would have sold 2 months ago at over asking price. So there are some, the market is softening, not crashing. I know everyone likes to talk about a nice, good old fashioned housing crash. And the rates are high. So jumbo rates are around, I had coffee with the lender today, and rates for jumbos were around 5.2, 5.3 for jumbos.
That sounds
And then
right.
conformings were a little bit higher than that. So
Under 6, right? Like 5.8, maybe
yeah, right
5.7.
around there. So that
Yeah.
sort of thing. There are some lenders in San Diego specifically that are getting lower rates, especially for ARMs. I heard I talked about this last time. Mission Fed is having 3.5% 10-year ARMs in San Diego, which means you get to lock that rate in for 10 years, and then you can refinance. And I just heard a quote yesterday from another YouTube live that says, when you marry the house and then date the interest rate. So the interest rates will always fluctuate throughout time. So could they be high for the next year or two or maybe three? Sure. But in 3 years or 2 years from now, especially if the recession really kicks in, a lot of things of what to do, especially once inflation catches back up, which I think the next inflation point is going to be lower because the Fed has raised the rates so much that I think it's finally going to start bringing down the inflation rate. So it might take 6 months to a year for the inflation to reach back to normal numbers. But when that happens, chances are rates will probably come back down to a reasonable number. So just know that the rates will not always be high. And then when the rate's high, the prices could dip, and this could be a good time, not for everyone to buy a house, but if you're looking for a house for the next 10 years, I think this could be a very good time to buy a house because you're going to get a much lower, not much lower price, but you could save 5-10% on a house in the next,
Definitely.
I don't know, 6 to 12 months, but who knows?
And I think when I bought my house was during a recession in late 08. I think I closed on my interest rate. It was 5.3, and I must have refinanced maybe 4 times after that.
Sure,
right?
yeah.
Just it continued to go down, and I continued to take advantage of that. I know 5.3 is relatively high, but it's not as high as it could possibly go right now. But there is that in the future, right? Like you said, that take advantage if the economy improves, inflation goes down, the rates are definitely going to improve.
Yeah, exactly. So I bought my first condo in 2012, and I think my rate was in 4.5%, which I thought was high at the time. And then obviously rates went much lower. And then I actually sold it in 2015 before we bought our house. And the home value went up a lot. I never had a chance to refinance because I was only there for 3 years. But then when I bought my new house, my rate was like 4.5. Then I was able to refinance at 2.9%.
Wow.
So,
yeah.
So just know that these rates will not always be super high all the time. It could be 1 year, 2 years, 3 years, who knows what it is. But that's why I'm actually entertaining these ideas of ARMs more often, just because you might be get a good price on a house, but you don't want to pay the 30-year fixed rate. Definitely, maybe check out the ARMs because I think it's a good option. Anyways, I said this last time, so we don't have to get too much into that.
Yeah.
Let's see. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. We'll get to the chat after we kind of go through some of the things that are going on here in San Diego. And if there's anything you guys want to talk about, feel free to put it in there. Let's see. And Courtney is not here today. She is going back east for vacation to visit her family. So she will not be in attendance. So I'm sorry to disappoint you. You guys have to deal with me and Mike tonight. So.
Are you going back east at all this summer? Or
no, I went back for spring break, so I'm probably
That's
not
right.
going to make it back this summer. We are going to Mexico, though, in July, so I'm looking forward to that.
Oh, great.
So, okay. Let's see. Let's share a few articles that we could chat about before we get to some questions. If you guys have any, feel free to ask. Let's make sure my share screen works. Good. Sometimes this does not work, so it's a disaster. Okay. All right, here we go. San Diego Union Tribune, which is where I get a lot of my articles here for, because they usually have some of the best information. Buyers balked at rising home prices as San Diego's home market slowed in early spring. So this is not surprising. Home prices were up 28% annually as of April in San Diego Metro. And then they're down from the previous month, an 18-year high. That might not seem like a big difference, but it marks the first slowdown since October 2021. So I didn't even know there was a slowdown in October 21, but I guess that this last 2 years have been a bit of a blur here for home prices. So, and this is kind of going throughout the country. It's not just San Diego. So if you guys have other homes throughout the country, San Diego probably had one of the biggest increases, especially early this year. I don't know if any of you guys were trying to buy a house from January till like end of March, maybe, but it was like the hardest ever to buy a house. I thought last year was bad, but the first 3 months of this year were really, really, really tough. So, yeah, it's been an interesting housing market. Yeah. So here they go. So the interest rate for 30-year fixed rate mortgage was 4.98 in April, and now it's as of Tuesday morning, it was 5.95%. I think this is conforming rates though. So jumbos are a little bit higher. and a lot of especially North County homes are jumbos. So just keep that in mind.
What's your prediction for the end of the year? What do you think the rates end at the, let's say, end of 2022?
Well, I had coffee with a lender this morning, and I always ask these questions because I feel like they have a better pulse of the interest rates than I do, since they are lenders and I'm not. And he thinks we're kind of at like a plateau point for interest rates. I've heard some people think they're going to go to like 7-8% interest rate. I think if the next inflation checkpoint comes out and it's still hasn't gone down, then maybe we could be at 6-7%. I mean, I don't think we're going to be at 8, 9, 10%, which is some people think, but I guess it kind of just depends on how the market goes. And because I think if they go to 8%, I mean, that's really, really going to stall the housing market.
Yeah,
but the only way they get to that point is if inflation still does not come down. So I don't know when they report the next inflation numbers, but it's probably in the next 30 days sometimes, right?
Yeah, and I guess people probably shouldn't trust our predictions, right? If they look at some of our videos in the beginning of the year, you and I were thinking that rates wouldn't surpass like 4.5%.
Well,
like,
no one knew it. Yeah, I think like the mid 4s was going to be like worst case scenario, and obviously that did not pan out even close.
Yeah.
And I based mine off of all the economists. So the economists are changing their opinion pretty much monthly on what the where things are going. So yeah, it should be interesting. And we didn't talk about this enough too. The new regulations capping San Diego short-term rentals now on track to go into effect next spring. So if any of you guys were ever planning to buy an Airbnb here in San Diego, apparently there's about 11,000 homes in San Diego that are short-term rentals, and short-term rentals is anything less than 30 days. So if you were trying to buy a short-term rental here, they're going to cap it at 1% of the actual amount of homes here in San Diego City. This does not go for the entire county. So that comes out to about 5,500 homes. So right now there's double the amount of short-term rentals which they were going to allow. So if you're trying to do a short-term rental or buy a short-term rental in here, or if you already own one, just know that you're not guaranteed to get a license to rent it out, at least legally. I'm sure there will be people out there trying to skirt the system as they do. So I think they're giving first priority to people that pay their taxes on time and all this other stuff, and they're gonna do it have the same percentage of homes throughout each town. So like La Jolla will have the same percentage amount as like Pacific Beach or Ocean Beach or Normal Heights or any of those places too. So
do you know if they give like a higher percentage chance that you'll be able to continue if you've been doing it longer, like almost like a grandfathering it in? So let's say
I think they are giving preference to people that maybe have done it longer.
And are paying their taxes.
I'm trying to find out more details on it, but I don't think and people that pay their taxes on time and have just been overall good short-term rentals. But for the most part, it's a lottery. So you're definitely not guaranteed it. So if you're trying to buy Airbnb, just know that you'll probably see more Airbnbs go for sale, probably, because this does not go into effect till next spring. So you have about a year-ish until it actually goes into effect, because they didn't want to just start it immediately, because a lot of people have already booked their vacations. So it would be tough to just eliminate 5,000 homes from Airbnb all at one time. This probably will hurt Airbnb too. I mean, a lot of the cities are doing these ordinances on short-term rentals just because it got a little out of control. I have a short-term rental up in Big Bear, and they're doing this, or trying to do the same thing, as far as limiting how many people can get short-term rentals. So,
yeah, but it could be a good opportunity for buyers, right? If some of these that don't get the license to continue, they'll either have to do long-term renting, or potentially put it up for sale, right? Which would be more inventory and more.
Which will be more inventory, but probably not enough inventory to really make a dent in our housing shortage here.
Yeah, true.
Because the housing supply has increased a little bit. Like it was before, it was like half of 1 month's supply. Now we're at like 1 month supply of inventory, and a normal supply of inventory is like 6 months supply. So we're still, it's creeping up a little bit, but we're still way behind. And I was just looking at inventory from last month to this month is still about the same. So I think there were like 4,000 homes for sale in May, and then June there was like 4,100. So it's not a dramatic difference. So, And another thing I noticed so I had a client try to buy a house here in San Diego, up in Oceanside this past week, and it was on the market for a few weeks. We offered like $10,000 under asking price, and I thought we were going to get the offer accepted. And then the agent came back to me and said they decided to rent because they thought they were going to get, it was listed at like 975, and they thought like if this was listed 3 months ago, they would have gotten over $1 million. The market has changed, rates have gone up, prices are stabilizing or softening, and they decided to rent the house instead of sell it. And then we put an offer on another house. This is the first time this has ever happened to me in like recorded history, at least for me. Then we put another house, just $5,000 under asking. So it was listed at 969. I think we offered like 965. And we let them because they needed a 60-day lease back. So you guys can have a lease back, no problem. So I thought this was like done deal. I talked to the agent. Okay, we're good. They just had to go do something, just make sure everything was good because they were trying to buy a house. And then the next day she calls me and she's like, bad news. They decided they're going to stay in the house because they had it in escrow originally for $1 million, over $1 million, like $1,025,000 or $1,035,000, something like that. And now it went back on the market, and then it sat for 3 weeks. We put our offer in, and I think they just got in their head that they thought they were going to get over $1 million, and now they would have to settle for 965. So they aren't renting the house; they're actually going to just stay in the house. I think they also had some health issues and stuff like that. So,
Wow.
So I think a lot of people have been putting their houses on the market and it's sitting for a few weeks, and then maybe they're changing their mind. Maybe we shouldn't sell it now because it's not a great time to sell it. So just keep that in mind when you're out there house hunting. Even if it's been on the market for a while and you offer pretty close to asking price, you might not get your offers accepted. So,
yeah, I had a similar experience this week. Offered under, I think we offered 15,000 under asking, all cash, and came back. The seller only wanted to at asking price. They weren't going to look at any offers under asking price. And this house had been sitting for almost a month. So the seller just had a price in mind that she thought it was worth, and she was going to wait for that or potentially not sell it.
Yeah, so, that's what's going on here. So it's everyone's trying to figure out the market right now, I think. And sellers are trying to figure it out, and buyers are trying to figure out, should they wait? And now sellers are getting all antsy out there, seeing like if it goes through 2 weeks without an offer, some people panic, some people stay the course, and some people take it off. So it's definitely interesting. It's been kind of just changing weekly, which is crazy to me. But when rates go up, almost 3% in 4 months, that'll probably do that to a market. It's very unpredictable at the moment. Okay, and then this one, I think we talked about this a little bit last time too. So I thought this was interesting. Salary you need to afford the average home in your state. So this is for the whole state of California, $120,000. For the median home price here, we're at like, what is it, $950 or something in San Diego. Mm-hmm. I think you probably need to make closer to $200,000, $175,000, $200,000 to be able to afford a home in San Diego, at least a single family home in San Diego. For condos and townhomes, you can still get it for less, which maybe that's what they're taking into account here. But it's definitely is it the highest one on this list? Let's see. California 120. Where's New York on here? Because even like Texas is 66,000. Where's New York? 91,000. So yeah, California is the highest by a long shot. Massachusetts 101,000. DC is 138,000. So they actually got us beat there too. So, which is a much smaller area, obviously.
Yeah, affordability is definitely an issue, which is why you're seeing a little bit of a softening and not as many buyers willing to come out and compete right now.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. And then, let's see. I wanted to share this too. This is something I found. Let me stop screen share for 1 second and start another one. Windows. Okay. So I thought this was a little slide I put together here. I thought this was interesting. So these are the median home prices over the last 3 months. This is just single family homes. So as you can see in April, we were at $1 million median home price sold in April. with 1,900, almost 2,000 homes sold. May was 1,877 homes at 985, and then June's not completely over. Obviously, we have a couple more days. Then it will change over. Maybe it'll be similar price. We only have 2 more days left in June. One more day. So
Yeah, one more day.
as you can see, we've dipped a little bit, not dramatically. So like you said, we're softening, not exactly crashing. I'm just curious to see how the rest of the summer goes into June, July, and August. So we shall see.
And the pricing stabilized. I would have expected that to maybe drop a little bit from May to June.
Yeah, it's pretty much, this is just single family homes, and this is San Diego County I did on this one. So
but definitely, you can see definitely a lot less homes sold. So the market is, definitely softening. So we're curious to see what June ends up at, and then also what happens here, next month, especially as far as the pricing, because some houses are starting to sit a little bit longer. But like Vern said, just because it's sitting longer doesn't mean that a sale is actually going to happen. Some of these sellers have a price in mind and they're sticking to it.
Yeah, for sure. Okay. Let's see. I had one more thing I got to share here. Stop screen. Okay, share. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat. Happy to answer any questions you might have. Okay, this is another one I kind of put together. Price reductions. Everyone likes to talk about price reductions. So this is single family homes in San Diego County. In the last 30 days, we have 891 price reductions. So out of 3,231 homes that are actually active on the market. So 27% of houses have been price reduced in the last 30 days. So that doesn't really mean a whole lot. It just means maybe people overpriced them a little bit. But before, like a year ago, we probably maybe had 5 to 10% at most. So last year, you could pretty much price a home at any price and you'd get multiple offers. Now you have to be, if you're out there trying to sell a home, just be very conscious of what price you're going to do. Don't try to go even a little bit high off the last comp, and don't go past like the last 60 days of homes sold. Because if you try to go back 3 months, 4 months, then the prices are going to be a little bit misleading. So I just thought that was interesting facts here.
Yeah, that's pretty high. 27% is pretty high. So I think there's a lot of houses that were mispriced probably, in the initial. And it's hard to do. It's you got to do a lot of research up front. You got to have some honest conversations with those sellers about what, and kind of lay out what their expectations are based on this change, because it changed really fast.
Yeah, and I've actually had a lot of people, even in other parts of the country, the people that are trying to move here, they like, oh, our market's still hot. I'm like, are you sure? Just to make sure your realtor knows that it is still hot, just because it's changed so much so quickly that you really, really have to pay attention to like the last one that sold in the last 2 weeks rather than the last one that sold 2 months ago, because it's just very, very different. I had another friend that was trying to sell their home in LA and moved to Temecula, and their house has been on the market for a few weeks. And it's just like, if you don't price it very aggressively, then you could be sitting for a few weeks and you lose any kind of leverage. If you can't have that multiple offer bidding more thing, then people offer, at asking, under asking price. So it's been very interesting. It's just seeing it week after week. It's always been a bit of a challenge to figure out which way we're going. So yeah, it's interesting. All right. So that's most of the slides I have for today. Let me stop the sharing. If you guys have any questions, feel free to put them in the chat here. We're probably gonna go for like another 15 more minutes here. I have to actually leave by about 5:45. So hopefully that's enough time. Okay, so let's go to a few questions. If you guys have any questions, like I said, put them in the chat. We have Bree Lopez. Hello, Bree. Thank you for watching. And let us know where you guys are watching from. I always like to know if you guys are local, San Diego, or are you from another part of the country, or another country altogether. So please let us know, and I'd be happy to say hi to you guys. Okay, we have Snappin'. Hi, guys, in Korea. There you go. 50% down is normal, required to close on a property. What's the average in San Diego? Should I take as much as possible with a 100K salary? I don't want to sell the Korean property yet. You don't have to put 50% down in San Diego, but sometimes if you are not a U.S. citizen, you might have to put more money down. You have to talk to a lender to know that specifically. But typically in San Diego, 20% is pretty standard if you're doing it for a owner occupied. If you're an investment property, you usually have to do 25% plus. It also just depends what you're qualified for and that sort of thing. So, but people, you can put as little as like 5% down on homes in here in San Diego. But I would say the normal is probably 20%. Would you agree with most of your people do that, Mike?
Yeah, 20% is pretty standard. There's a few programs where you can still do 100% financing, like if you're a VA loan, right? But
Yeah.
those are, pretty difficult to qualify for.
Yeah.
So yeah, I think 20% is pretty average, and then it really comes down to what kind of monthly payment you can afford, right? The more you put down, the less your monthly payment's going to be. So it really comes down to that. So it's, I would advise talking to a lender and getting pre-qualified, getting all your ducks in a row on what exactly you can put down and what you can qualify for before you start, actively looking.
Gotcha. Yeah. Good answer. Good answer. Grown Up Gaming is a frequent watcher of the show. You have quite thunderous elbows. Was I banging my elbows on there? I also have like a contractor outside my window that is jackhammering right now. So I apologize if anybody can hear that, or I'm just banging my elbows. I'm not really sure what's going on.
Did you finally get approval to get done in the backyard?
By the way, if anybody's trying to get a permit in San Diego, it took me 6 months to get a gas line permit in San Diego. I'm not sure why it took so long, but it took an absolute eternity to get a gas line. I've had people build pools faster than getting a gas line permit in here. So I'm getting a little outdoor island barbecue, covered patio, and an outdoor fireplace. But
awesome.
Kind of wish I did not get the gas lines because it took an absolute eternity. So, okay, what else we got here? How would you compare public transportation in San Diego to Bay Area? You want to take that one, Mike?
Well, I know Bay Area has great public transportation. What do they have? The BART up there? I think that's what it's called. I've been on that a few times. San Diego, it's kind of hit or miss. Along the coast, you can take the coastal up to LA. And then there's some parts when you get like to La Mesa, closer to downtown, that has, the trolley and you can hop on the train to downtown. But other than that, when you're getting out into some of the suburbs where we live, it's really not that great of public transportation, right? Is that what you would say?
Yeah, I mean, San Francisco's got a speed on public transportation. Unless you live along the coast, there's also one that goes along the 78 freeway up in, what's it called? Like Vista, Oceanside. What's that one called? The Sprinter? Not the Sprinter. Maybe it's called the Sprinter.
Where does it head to?
It goes from like Escondido or San Marcos all the way to Oceanside.
Oh, wow.
But we don't have any, like in the middle of San Diego, like North County, there's nothing. So you have to Uber or drive, essentially, because you're not really getting around too easily. Yeah. Downtown, you can get around. They also have the trolley that goes from La Jolla to like downtown. I think I haven't taken it yet, but I think that's also a possibility. I mean, it depends on where you live and where you work. So you can get away with public transportation, but where we live, we cannot get away with public transport unless we want even buses. There's not even a bus that goes over by us. So
yeah, we could use some improvement in that area for sure.
We could, but I don't know if that's ever going to happen or anytime soon, at least. So
yeah.
Okay, I know nobody has a crystal ball, but when we went to move to San Diego in 2020, 26, 27, a few years away, what do you expect to be the median home price 4 to 6 years from now? I would say it's going to be higher than it is 4 to 6 years from now. I think we could have this little dip in this, coming months or year. So what's our median home price here now? Like 950, 940?
Yeah,
I think
945, I think.
Could we get down to 900 by the end of the year? Maybe. Not positive about it. Maybe like 920, something like that. But then, as things get back to normal, eventually, I think median home price in 2026, 27 is probably going to be, I don't know, decently over $1 million. I don't know, just crystal ball. If I knew that, I'd probably be a much richer man. But that's just my guess. That's what, 4 years from now. What year is it now? 2022.
Yeah, 4 years from now. A lot of it's going to depend on the inflation, right, and how quickly they can get it under control and how the interest rates are. Yeah, but I think you're right. It's definitely probably going to be over $1 million.
I agree.
Because people are going to start getting paid more because of inflation, right?
Yeah.
And so with that, housing's going to keep going up if they can afford it.
I said this last time, but I'm going to buy an investment property in the next 6 months. I'm going to probably be a little picky over where it is and how much it is, and make sure it's a pretty good deal. because I'm confident that I'll get a little dip in the price somewhere, and then it'll go back up, and then I can refinance the interest rate later. So that's my plan. And then once I do that, I will show it to you guys on the channel and show you which one I bought.
Cool.
Star Platinum, one of our other frequent watchers here. The Spaniard is cheating on you. I saw him on another channel asking questions. The next thing you know, he's going to tell everyone that Dan Parker told him where the great donut shops are in San Diego. I can assure you, Dan does not eat donuts. Okay, all he does is work out. So that donut would crush him. And I saw Spaniard on Dan's channel yesterday. Trust me, I'm aware of Spaniard's movements at all times. Orlando, nice. Okay. Oh, my brother Kevin is another example. He, my brother, younger brother Kevin, lives in Tampa, Florida, and he's buying a house there now. He's was renting there for a couple of years, moved there for a job, and is now buying a house in Florida. And I think he got a great deal on the house because he bought, which is crazy to me, he bought a house for a 3-bedroom house for $316,000 in Tampa, Florida, which is where I might actually end up buying an investment property just because I can afford $315,000.
And Kevin can manage it for you.
That's what kind of my plan. So I told him to look out for other ones there because $316,000 does not go very far in San Diego. So I think he had his inspection on Friday. So let me know how that goes, brother. Okay, Deb, another frequent watcher here. Hey guys, watching from the Los Angeles area, will be in San Diego for the 4th. Oh, well, we should come over and say hi. Courtney won't be here, but you know, I will be. Okay, there's a trolley that goes from Barrio Logan to San Diego right into Mexico. Yes, I have not taken that one, but we do have trolleys that go from La Mesa to downtown too. So there are ones that they have it, but it's not, it's not conducive if you live where we live. But if you live closer to downtown, La Mesa, Chula Vista, even Normal Heights and South Park, you probably get away with public transportation, but not up in North County as much, unless you're right on the coast. Disney World is not going to get the train from Miami. It's now going to stop at Universal. That's a shame. I didn't know there was a train going from Miami to Wait, how isn't Universal really close to Disney World though? I don't know how close that is, but
I don't know. I've never been to Disney World.
I know. No one. My dad said he was going to take me and my brothers when I turned 4. I'm now 40, so it did not work out. So thanks, Dad. Appreciate it. Keep up the good works. Thank you. Thanks for watching. Hi, Kevin from Michigan. Have you seen more or less out-of-state buyers lately? I've definitely seen less, although I couldn't have seen more over the previous 2 years. So I think now it's more of like a normal amount of people coming to the area. Before it was just like, hundreds and thousands of people moving here. So now it's just, because we do help a lot of out-of-town people. So like in a normal month, we might have 15 people reach out to us. Now it's like 3 to 5 or something like that. So I think just in general, the housing market in general has slowed just because of the rates. So people are rethinking, okay, is it worth moving? Is it not worth moving? Are rates going up? Are they going to go down? Are prices going to go down? So now everyone's just kind of sitting back and watching and waiting for their moment. And don't wait too long. Definitely monitor it each month and see how things are going. Watch other people's YouTube channels here in San Diego. Dan Parker's got a good one. North County guys have a good YouTube channel. So just listen to what these guys are saying because, there's plenty of good real estate agents. I don't want to just tell you what you want to hear. I'm just going to give you our experiences and you guys can make up the decision for yourselves because it's a lot of money here in San Diego. So just do what's best for you. Oh, Spaniard. Cheers to that, my friend. All right, we got another couple minutes here, guys. If you have any other questions, feel free to let us know. There's my brother again, Will Do. He's just buying his house. So you can buy a 3-bedroom, 1-bath house in Tampa for $316,000. I think that's what it was, or $320,000, which is crazy. Here, I don't think you could buy an RV for $316,000. So,
and what could you rent that for?
I think he said you could rent it for like $2,000 or something like that. On the rental estimates, I saw it up to about $2,500, but I think it kind of depends. Like a 3-bedroom, 2-bath might get you a little bit more, but it seemed like a pretty good deal because a lot of those ones were selling for like $350,000 330 plus, and he got this one for 316. So obviously the percentages will be smaller, not smaller, but the price drops will be smaller there versus $1 million houses. So
Did you find him a good realtor out in Tampa from Real, or who?
I did refer him one, and then I don't think he liked him as much. So sorry, brother. Okay, a house down the block from me was on the market for $1 million 6 weeks ago and sold for $855,000. Well, a house block was on the market for $1 million 6 weeks ago and sold for $855,000.
And where's Star at? Star's in Orlando, right?
Star was in Orlando, yes, right? Yeah, I mean, sometimes people just do overprice a house. So that's why I don't like the price reduction thing. Is I think people were basing comps off of 3 months ago a lot of times, which maybe they thought they were pricing it right, but instead of basing it off what just sold like in the last 3 weeks, which sometimes there's not a lot of houses to go off of in like 3 week period. So I get why a lot of these houses are getting price reductions, because they're basing it off when rates were 3% or 4% even, and now they're 5.5% or whatever it is. So the Spaniard just saw a property in Encinitas with a donut shop across the street, more like a beach bungalow, $500,000, good investment is coming. Yeah, I mean, that's what I'm saying. If you're patient and wait for the right property, you could find a very good deal on a house in the coming months. Because what was the quote the Berkshire what's his name?
Buffett.
Warren Buffett said, when people are fearful, be greedy, and when people are greedy, be fearful. So everyone's afraid right now. So just monitor the markets and decide if it's a good, if you can afford it and it's a good, and you need a house to live in. It's not going to be a terrible time to buy. You might think it is in the short term, but in the long term, I think you're going to be 100% fine. So as long as you can afford the payments. So okay. Thanks for answering my last question. What are your thoughts on the Airbnb ban? I think a lot less people will Airbnb their house in the very near future. But if they're going to limit it to half the amount of people that they're on there now, I mean, I think there will people try to sneak it in and then kind of rent it. And just keep in mind, short-term rentals is 30 days or less. So you could still do technically, I mean, 30 days isn't exactly short term, but you could still do it. I know some people will say, oh, we're doing short-term rentals, but you have to be out in 15 days. So it's just like, I'm not encouraging that. I'm just saying I've heard people do that strategy. Because I know in Coronado, you can't rent for less than 30 days. And that's been going on for like a long time. So, and every other, like the Solana Beach, Encinitas, Carlsbad are all on their own rules because they're their own cities. So they are not San Diego. La Jolla is technically still under San Diego jurisdiction, and Pacific Beach and Ocean Beach and all those ones too. So, but you'll probably see more like vacation style rentals hitting the for sale market, or maybe they'll do them long term. The reason people do short term is because they can use them. And usually you make a little bit more money by doing short term rentals, especially in San Diego, than you would a monthly year rental. But I know some people will rent houses for like months at a time too in San Diego. So if you're in a very desirable beach community, especially like in the summer, like June, July, August, you can rent out your place for 30 days, and that would not actually affect this short-term rental would not actually affect you. So just keep that in mind. Okay. Yes, Orlando. That's right. Okay. A couple more questions, and then I actually got to roll out of here. Encinitas house for $500K. How many bedrooms? Did you say it was $500K? What were you saying?
He said, yeah, $500,000.
You saw a house,
beach bungalow,
Encinitas for $500,000. Why did you not buy it immediately, Spaniard? That's what I want to know. Tell me the address, and I'll go buy it. Near what donut shop? The one Broad Street Donut Company? That one's in a prime location. Anyways, let me know. So yeah, BR says there's no house there's not even a condo that exists for $500K, at least in prime Encinitas. Do you feel there are a higher proportion of all cash buyers lately, like in the last 3 months? I bet I think the all cash buyers are going to be patient over the next 2 to 3 months and just see how things play out. And they're going to scan for deals, like people that are desperate. So I bet you some people will panic and they'll just take any offer just to cash out now. You know, if people are close to retirement, maybe they want to just cash out now before, if they think of a crash. A lot of people think crashes are coming. If you go on YouTube and search housing market crash, like the ones that get the most views, that's because it's what people want to talk about too. So they talked about like the most overvalued home prices in all of San Diego, like this one here. I'll share this real quick before I go into the questions. This one. This one. Housing prices are expected to drop in these cities. Is yours one of them? So this one, they listed what cities they were: Boise, Texas, Michigan, Tennessee, Florida, Arizona. So there actually were not a lot of California ones on here, which I was surprised by. So yes, our prices are high. And are they slightly overvalued? Possibly, but they don't really predict our housing prices to go down too much compared to some of these others. During the Great Migration, they said that everybody was moving last 2 years. They went to a lot of areas that did not have a lot of job growth, or they're kind of not in the middle of nowhere. I mean, a lot of these places are obviously well-known cities, but like places like Idaho might get hurt a little bit more than a place like San Diego will. So people are waiting for the market to crash here in San Diego, might be waiting for a very long time, but we shall see. If I'm wrong, I'm wrong, and you guys can let me know on the next YouTube live. That'd be great. Okay, a couple more questions. Yeah, the bungalow was a rental, maybe selling before they are not able to rent any longer. Okay, can you let me know the address, Spaniard? Because I would like to buy that one. That'd be great. I thought BS too. Oh, bungalow, no parking. I don't care. If it's 500K in Encinitas, you don't need a car. Just walk everywhere. Spaniard is so bearish that he's waiting for it to drop below 100K. Yes, he is. One day.
For sure.
3 routes, a desirable location. Yes and no, sort of. I think it's very central to all of San Diego. You got the Miramar, like Marine base right there, so you get a lot of the airplane noise there. You're also right next to Mira Mesa, which Mira Mesa is nice. It's not like my favorite place in all of San Diego, but you're also probably like 15 minutes from La Jolla, 25 minutes from like Del Mar beaches. So you're close to beaches, but not right on top of them. I think the community of 3 Roots is going to be very nice. I actually just did a little video tour of this not too long ago, maybe like a month ago. So if you want to see what it looks like, feel free to check out that video. And I've heard a lot of complaints about 3 Roots lately on Reddit. If you guys ever go on Reddit and type in 3 Roots, like they were planning this huge like shopping area, and it's either getting delayed or not as promised because they changed the wording on their website. So I think a lot of people were kind of complaining about that. So I don't know the exact facts about that. So you might want to go check out Reddit if you had questions about that. But they were supposed to have it's basically this mixed use community with like its own fitness center, which they will have that. They already built the fitness center, and with like 2 pools. But it was supposed to have like a lot of shopping and coffee shops and that sort of thing. And I'm not sure if they like kind of stepped away from that a little bit or redeveloping the plan for that. So just keep that in mind. I mean, 3 Roots, it's also like 15, 20 minutes to downtown from 3 Roots. So location wise, it is pretty good. And they are brand new. I actually had a client trying to resell one of a house that he just bought because he's not moving here. It was a California West Brio house. So I think he's still trying to sell it. So he wasn't allowed to put it on the MLS for 3 months because I guess the builder wasn't allowing him to do it. So if you're interested, feel free to reach out about that one. Okay, I'll put the address on later. Okay. All right, do that later. That was good. There was two houses for sale. Okay, great. It's good if you don't have kids.
3 Roots, probably. Is that what they're talking about?
3 Roots? I mean, they are going to have a bunch of parks there at 3 Roots. So, I mean, the yards aren't very large there. So if that's, I mean, I think it could be a good area for kids because it's the Mira Mesa School District, which is pretty decent. I think they're like 8s or 9s on the great school ratings. So I wouldn't say it's necessarily bad if you have kids, but that's my opinion. Dropped 100K to 349, 16. Okay, 24. Now I think everyone's going to go Google this address right now and see what it is. I sure wasn't like a manufactured home. Could have been.
It probably was.
Yeah, there are a bunch of them in that area over there. So
he did say a bungalow.
Yeah, bungalow is a little different than a manufactured home.
Yeah, I know, but that's what I think.
Three Roots is very desirable. There you go. It's tech and biotech is right there, plus UCSD, all freeways, and still developing. The Melrose and HOA kind of makes me nauseous, though. Yes, they are quite high.
And what's the HOA there?
I think it was like, I forget what it was, 250, 275, something like that. Maybe Kelvin knows. And the Melrose was, I think, going to be on there for like 30 years, if I remember correctly. Okay, just a couple more questions, and I got to roll in 2 minutes. Yeah, the Root Collector was going to be a retail area with restaurants and retail, but I think it's now going to be office spaces. So they're not going to have any restaurants or retail. That's going to be making a lot of people very unhappy. If that is true, I heard it wasn't official what they were going to do with it, because on their website they had this. Because I was trying to find photos of this, of the retail and office or restaurant space that they were supposed to, because they had like renderings of it, and then I couldn't find them. Like, where did they all go? And then I went on Reddit, and everyone's complaining about they were changing their whole plan. So I'm curious, anybody buying Three Roots? If you have, let me know if you've heard anything else about Three Roots, because I'm always trying to find out information about that. Vulcan, yeah, I'm 97% sure these are manufactured homes, Spaniard, but because I think the Vulcan ones are, but I could be wrong. Okay, one more question. I just put an offer for $310K on North Vulcan, and they accepted. Really? Okay. Are these manufactured homes, or are these actual single family homes?
No, those have to be in that mobile home park right there in Encinitas. I can't remember what the space rent, but I think it's the space rent to lease that space is it's almost, I think it's like 12 or 1300.
Yeah, that's high. Okay, two more things. Let's see, down 10% makes sense. Is that for down payment, or was that
probably?
Yeah, I mean, you could definitely do 10%.
Oh no, they might be like down market 10%.
Oh, the down private prices. I would say that's. I mean, this is just an educated guess. I think it could, worst case scenario, probably about 10%. I mean,
and it's going to be area specific probably too, right? Some areas of San Diego you may see that 10% drop. Some you might not.
I think some of the areas actually should go, maybe on the next live, I'll try to put this together. Find the areas that went up the most during the pandemic. Like some areas went up like 40% in a year or something like that.
Like Rancho Penasquitos.
Like Rancho Penasquitos. Like Rancho, I would not be surprised to see Rancho Penasquitos to get like a 10% drop in home prices. I mean, the one I was just talking about on Santa Fe Canyon, that one already basically has a 10% drop on it, because it was listed at 1.8, and I'm pretty confident would have sold for close to 2 million 3 months ago. So that's essentially a 10% drop right there. So I would say 8 to 12%, maybe like 5 to 12%, depending on the neighborhood. So again, this is just an educated guess, but I wouldn't mind a 10% discount on houses right now. And if the rates come back down to a normal rate, like not normal, but like between 3 to 4%, like 4% ish, then you can refinance a year or two from now. It's not the worst plan in the world I've ever heard, but obviously do what's right for you. Obviously not everyone's going to use us to buy a home, which is totally fine. There's plenty of houses to go around here, but if you guys ever do need help in the future, we'd love to help you buy or sell a home here in San Diego. Okay, last two things. Have a good one, Burn. Thanks for showing up, guys. Appreciate it. Just kidding, Shawnee. Just kidding. Very funny. Mobile homes for $394. That's too much, plus park fees. I mean, they are a good location. So if you check out the location, it's very good. And,
it's prime location.
It's a mobile property. Thank you, Star. Thanks for letting us know. All right, guys, that's it. Take care. See you next time, says Kelvin. We appreciate it. I'll be back here again in 2 weeks. Next week's 4th of July, so I will not be doing this. But check us out 2 weeks from now, and feel free to reach out if you guys have any questions. Thanks for watching.
Thanks, Burn. See you guys.
Bye.